Hi, my name is Mattie Clark, and I'm an African American storyteller. That means that I tell stories from West Africa as well as America. I live in Minneapolis, and I'm just going to share a little bit with you about stories and present to you also some of the stories that I did recently at Survival Skills Institute. Storytelling is the oldest public art form that we have and that we know about, and storytelling is done in various places. And I usually perform publicly majority of the time, which means that I go to libraries, schools, museums, go to corporations, and I do festivals and parks and community centers, and I do churches, and wherever people gather, that's where I go. And one of the things that I enjoy about storytelling is because it's preserving a very rich and special culture. It's preserving your heritage. And mainly I think about that because I learned my stories from my great-grandmother and also from the elders in my community. And these stories are passed down from generations to generations. They teach us about life, about ourselves, about our family, about our community, how to live, how to treat people, how to learn about friends and how to get along in the world, and how to respect other people's culture. So storytelling is very important in preserving your culture.
Let's start out with an African song. It's a call and response song that brings us together for unity to enjoy stories. Now all you have to do is just repeat after me. Let's try it. Taboo. Taboo. Eat pie. Eat pie. Eat changa changa hey guy. 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 Taboo. Taboo. Eat pie. Eat pie. Eat changa changa hey guy. 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 Taboo. Taboo. Eat pie. Eat pie. Eat water water hey guy. 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 Taboo. Taboo. Eat pie. Eat pie. Boom boom hey guy. 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 Boom boom hey guy.
One of the things that I would like to share is that how I learned about stories and how stories has impacted my life. I grew up with all of my grandparents. My mother has 15 children, and my grandmother came and took me to live with her. And then my grandmother went and got my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather. They came to live with us. So actually, I live with all grandparents and great-grandparents. And since I was 5 years old, my great-grandmother told me lots of stories about people, about animals, about nature. She sang songs to me, she explained things to me, then she fed me some good food. So I really learned to appreciate stories. And then the older people in my town where I grew up in a place called Winona, Mississippi. And I heard so many stories from the people in the community, but I was mostly impacted by my great-grandmother's stories because not only did she tell me stories, but she sang songs to me. And I like that combination. So today, when I do storytelling for the schools or organizations or libraries or whatever, I use the same format that she used. I'll tell stories, I'll sing some songs, maybe every now and then I may do a little poem or rhyme or jingle. That's the way she did me. And that's the oral tradition that was passed down through many, many, many generations. And I think that storytelling is very important for bridging the gap between the young and the old because everyone enjoys a good story. One of the things I like about African American storytelling is that young people listen to the elders as they tell stories, and then the elders listen to the young people as they tell stories. So we share back and forth. I learned a lot of things from my great-grandmother and my grandmother, and then I also learned from my grandchildren. I tell my grandchildren stories, and I listen to my grandchildren tell me stories. So storytelling will really bridge the gap in those generations. And I wish share stories everywhere so that people of all ages can enjoy stories. You can go to the colleges, you can go to prisons, you can go to work areas, you can go to, I go to the juvenile detention homes and places like that where the young people are, go to the hospitals, nursing homes, and go to the schools, the libraries, go to the parks. Wherever people gather, that's where you'll find good storytelling.
Ready? Let's get the music going. Let's hear the music. Music sounds good. Take your time. Don't go too fast now. Got to be slow with grandma. You know, grandma got to take that time. Okay, let's try it. Once upon a time in a nursery rhyme, the big woods of talking. Along came a little girl with little short black hair. Her name was Brownie Locks. And up on the door she knocked. No one was there. She didn't care. She walked right in and had herself a ball. She didn't care that no one was there. Home came those three bears. Somebody needed my porridge, said the Papa Bear, said the Papa Bear. Somebody needed my porridge, said the Mama Bear, said the Mama Bear. Hey, Mama Me Bear, said the little wee bear, someone has broken my chair. Oh, somebody sleeping in my bed, said the Papa Bear, said the Papa Bear. Somebody sleeping in my bed, said the Mama Bear, said the Mama Bear. Hey, Mama Me Bear, said the little wee bear, someone has broken my chair. Oh, Brownie Locks broke up the party and beat it out of there. Hey, bye, 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 said the Papa Bear. Bye, 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 said the Mama Bear. Hey, Mama Me Bear, said the little wee bear, someone has broken my chair. Oh,
I think it's very important also that we teach children to share their own stories and that we listen to their stories when they want to share with us. Many times adults don't listen very well, and I think adults need to listen to children more. When I go into the schools or go places and to community centers to teach storytelling to children, rather than just talking about storytelling in general, what I do is I give them a little bit of background on the importance of stories, the values of stories, ask them about what stories they like, type of stories they like, and then we'll do some theater games to get them get their creativity stirred up and get them thinking and moving about, and that's a part of the storytelling. And then I will teach them through those storytelling games to write their own stories. And after they write their stories, then we'll read their stories and we'll critique the stories. Then I will share with them important tips like things like my great-grandmother told me. She would give me tips from time to time. At the time when I was young, I didn't think, why would I need that? Why is she even telling this to me? But I guess she saw in me that I was going to be a storyteller one day. And that is, when you read a story or you write a story, think about the people in the story. Think about the animals in the story, and that will help you to produce your sounds. Sometimes people try to make up sounds, but she said the sounds will come from you on their own if you think about what's happening in your story, and that makes the story really authentic, and that's what I try to do. And young people write wonderful, wonderful stories, and so we have a great time doing that. But we do the storytelling in a fun way that they can remember, because anytime something is fun, you're going to remember it. And I do workshops. Besides doing regular programs, I will do workshop, talk about the art and technique of storytelling. Many times in the schools, I will do residencies, which means I may stay at a school in a place from maybe a week to maybe 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a month. So that way we can go in depth on the storytelling, the art and technique of storytelling. Students writing their stories. I get a chance to share their stories, critique their stories, let them go look into doing poems and all aspects of storytelling, and then have them to sing some songs to me. I share with them, and then they share with me.
Now, what I want to do is, I want to share with you a story that I love very, very much. It's a very old story, but it's one of my favorite stories. I tell it a lot of times. I don't always tell it. But this morning, I was thinking about you, and I thought I would tell it this morning. And this is the story of the little butter girl. Now, this story is about a little girl that lived in Africa, and she was made out of butter. And her mother said to her, now listen, my child, you are a very special little girl. You're very precious. Now you are made out of butter. So when you go outside to play with the boys and girls, you must be very careful. Don't play in the sun. Because if you play in the sun, you will melt. Now, a little bit of sun won't hurt you. But don't play where the sun can shine right on you. Do you understand? She said, yes, Mama, I understand, and I'm going to be very, very careful. She said, wait just a minute. I'm going to teach you a very special song. Now, if you happen to be playing with your friends and enjoying yourself and you happen to forget and start to melt, well, if you sing this song, then I'll come and get you. She said, okay, Mama, you can teach me the song, but I'm not going to forget. She said, all right. And she taught her the song. So the little girl went outside to play with her friends. she was playing a special game with her friends. And my son was really hot. Oh, her hand began to melt. And then her arm began melting. She said, oh, I'm melting, I'm melting. She said, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll sing a special song that my mama taught me, and then my mama will come and get me. Mama, mama, come wash my skin. Mama, mama, come wash my skin. But her mother was busy and didn't hear the girl sing the song. And then her other hand began melting, and her arm began melting. She said, oh, I'm melting, I'm melting. Oh, where's my mama? Where's my mama? She said, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing a song again, and I know my mama's got to hear me, and then she'll come and get me. Mama, mama, come wash my skin. Mama, mama, come wash my skin. But her mother still was busy and didn't hear the girl singing the song. And then her right foot began melting.
I think of myself as a public artist, and I made that decision many years ago. One thing that I was thinking about, a lot of storytelling that I've heard in the community is done at the community level among family and friends. And I told stories to my family, to my friends for many years. Then I decided to go public. I think one of the values in going public is that it shares with other people the stories that you're learning. It shares with other people the history that you have, the richness of your culture, the richness of your background, and also the lessons that you've learned in life that passed down from your great-grandparents down to your grandparents, down to your parents, and to you. It would help everyone to learn some of those lessons. I think as we share lessons all over the world, I think it's going to help all of us as a people to grow and to be better. We can think better, we learn better, we're able to share. It enlarges us as human beings. We'll be better off for it. I think we'll be greater people as a result of that. So I really do believe in sharing. I really believe in learning about other cultures. I really believe in doing that in the public format where everybody can hear and listen and ask questions, have a dialogue. Let's talk about this. Let's share and enjoy it together.
Now I want to do a little saying that the children in the community say all the time, and you probably know it, but it's really nice to share with the group. And it goes like this: beans and cornbread had a fight. Beans knocked cornbread out of sight. Cornbread told Beans, that's all right. I'll meet you in the soup tomorrow night. Okay, let's try it all together, okay? Everybody, let's try it. Beans and cornbread had a fight. Beans knocked cornbread out of sight. Cornbread told Beans, that's all right. I'll meet you in the soup tomorrow night. Okay, everybody all together one more time. Beans and cornbread had a fight. Beans knocked cornbread out of sight. Cornbread told Beans, that's all right. I meet you in the I meet you in that soup tomorrow night. I meet you in that soup tomorrow night. I meet you in that soup tomorrow night. Yay! Yay! Okay, now the next thing I want to share is a proverb. Now in African American storytelling, proverbs are very, very important. Now proverbs are the wise sayings that come from the elderly, from our great-grandparents, from our grandparents, down to our parents, and down to us. Now every family has proverbs. If your mother tells you something over and over and over again, that's a proverb. Okay? Now this one comes from Africa. Okay, repeat after me. I am. Because we are.
Because we are.
And because we are.
Because we are.
I am.
I am.
In the African American tradition, one of the great part of storytelling is proverbs. And I let the kids know that proverbs are a great part of the family tradition passed down from generations. Proverbs are the wisdom of the elderly, meaning passed down from your great-grandparents to the grandparents to your parents and down to the children. And the way I help children to know what a proverb is, I say that if your mother tell you something once and she told you seemingly 1,000 times, that's a proverb. That's how you can identify it with a proverb. Proverbs, most families use proverbs, but not all families explain to their children that this is a proverb, this is a wise saying. And for example, one proverb that we have that comes from Africa states like this: I am because we are. And because we are, I am. And I repeat that with the kids and have the kids to say that. I am because we are. And because we are, I am. That means that you're an individual, you have a family, you have friends, friends in your community, friends at school, friends at church. And that means that wherever you go, there's somebody that's willing to help you. So you're not alone, so you don't feel sad or lonesome. You can encourage yourself when you get up in the morning. You can wake up and say, hey, I am because we are. And because we are, I am. See, that proverb is self-affirming. And we have thousands of proverbs in the African-American tradition. And really, most families have proverbs because our elders say certain statements to their own families that's been passed down through generations. If you think about what you've heard from your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother, and if you don't have your great-grandmother or great-grandparents alive, those things are passed down through your parents. You've heard those words of wisdom. And I would encourage adults to share more proverbs with their children and also to explain to them what they mean. I'll share you one that my grandmother said to me all the time when I was a little girl. She said, opportunity is bald-headed. You better catch it while it's passing by. Now, that'll make you think for a while, won't you? And then here's another one she always said. If you got your head in the lion's mouth, ease it out slowly. Now, you know something? When I talk to the young people in school about those proverbs, they know exactly what it means when I tell them. And we always talk about the meaning of proverbs, and they share what they've heard. So I encourage people to encourage this rich form of storytelling by doing more proverbs.
Let's say it again. I am because we are. And because we are, I am. Okay. Now, that means that you're an individual and you have a family and you live in a community. That means that you don't have to feel sad or alone because there's always someone to help you. You have friends in school, friends in your community, friends at your church. So every place you go, there's always someone that can help you. So you should encourage yourself and make yourself feel good. You can say, hey, I am because we are. And because we are, I am too. Hey, make yourself feel good. Make yourself feel good.
One of the things I enjoy about the young people today, we get an opportunity to talk about storytelling. We get an opportunity to talk about reading, television, and all those kinds of things that are impacting their lives. And I'm very encouraged because young people are learning to read or enjoying reading, and they also really enjoy stories. For every place I go, I get a good reception for young people that want me to stay longer. When am I coming back? I get all those questions. And we're talking about the difference between storytelling, when you read a story versus telling a story orally. I encourage young people to read. I said because I love reading, and reading, you learn a lot of stories, and then you read about people all over the world. It really impacts your life. We share how storytelling improves your language and gets you to understand other words that other cultures will use. And then we talk about how stories impact their life, or how television impacts their life, and videos and movies and things like that. And that actually you can use it. It can all go together. You learn from each aspect of the media. At the same time, you still need a storyteller to actually come and tell stories. You want to read books. I can encourage young people to read because reading is really the key to everything. At the same time, encourage them to release their creativity to sharing and also being a good listener. Listen to your family, listen to your friends, listen to in the community. Wherever people are going to tell stories, listen and you'll learn something. So I think the young people today are doing a good job.
When we would go outside to play, the grandfathers and great-grandfathers would come outside and they would sing to us as we would play games. And one of the songs they sang was an old song many of you may already know, and it's called Shortening Bread. Anybody ever heard of Shortening Bread? Remember the song Shortening Bread? Okay. Now, you know what? Let me tell you. There's two reasons why I love that song. Number one, I love the way the grandfathers and great-grandfathers sing the song because, you know, grandfathers and great-grandfathers don't sound like daddy. They don't sound like daddy. No. And then another reason I love that song because there were many African Americans that was very poor. But one thing everybody had was some bread. You had bread and butter. Some of you had some bread and syrup. Some of you had some bread, syrup, and butter. Some of you even had meat and bread. Let me see the hands. Anybody ever had meat and bread? Anybody ever had some meat and bread? Oh, good. Anybody ever had a hamburger? Anybody ever had some chicken?
Yeah.
Anybody ever had a hot dog? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, you had some meat and bread. Now, here's what I want to do. I want you to listen to the words. I'm going to sing it through once, and then I want a second round. I want you to join me, okay? Listen to the words. This is where it goes. Mama little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama little baby loves shortening bread. Mama little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama little baby loves shortening bread. Put on the fillet, put on the leg. Mama's gonna cook some shortening bread. That ain't all she's gonna do. She's gonna make some coffee too. Mama little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama little baby loves shortening bread. Two little children sick in bed. One was sick and the other most dead. Sent for the doctor and the doctor said, give those children some shortening bread. Give those children some shortening bread. Give those children some shortening bread. Woo! Okay, now, what I want you to do is, I want you to sing with me on the second time. Sing as many of the words as you know, and then the next time you hear the song, you'll learn a few more words, and then you'll learn it together, okay? Everybody clap your hands. Clap your hands.
One of the things that I really enjoy about public art is it gives you an opportunity to share with the community at large, share at the community focus, like at community festivals, in the parks, and the neighborhoods, and in the libraries. And I think that it's important to do more research into your stories, because what happens, it enables you to expand, is able you to embrace more of the past, to understand the past, and to share with young people, which will help them to take this into the future. I find that when I'm doing more research from the elderly people who are my seniors, and also even from young people, I learn a lot about them, and I learn a lot about myself. I learn a lot about what's going on in the world today, and it'll help me to make a better contribution in the world of tomorrow. So what I try to do is try to share as much as I can as I go along, and I try to do as much research as possible to that I'll have more to share in the coming years. Also, I want to be fresh. I want to share information with people that's relevant to them, but I also want to remind them of the historical aspect and the importance of that. I think if we really understand our past, understand what happened and the reasons why, it enables us to understand more what we're doing today and how what we're doing today will fit in, and it will enable us to prepare ourselves better for the future. So it's very important to research. It's very important to know rather than just guess and rather than just assume, is to get the facts and then pass them on and then share your information with the next generation. I think all of this is a part of history, and contributing to history is very important.
Another story I really, really love, and it's a very favorite story that I tell in Minnesota. Most of the kids in Minnesota love this story. And you know what? This story is from Africa. Now, you know what? There was a little boy that lived with his father. And his father said to him one day, now, my son, I have a very special gift that I want to give to you. And he said, I can't give it to you today, but I want you to come to my room bright and early tomorrow morning. So the little boy said, what is it, Papa? What you want to give me? He said, son, I can't give it to you today, but come to my room bright and early tomorrow morning. So the little boy said, all right, Papa, all right. And the little boy was wondering, now what did his father want to give him? He thought about this, and he thought about that. He thought about this and that, and he couldn't decide what it was. So he finally went to bed early that night, and he got up early the next morning, and he went to his father's room. And his father said, my son, come. You've been a very good son, very good son. I've trained you well, and you listen well. So I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to give you a very special gift. I want to give you a magic horn. Now, there's a horn of magic. Anything you want, this horn will give you anything you want. I want you to take it and put it in a clump right next to your skin. Now, son, don't brag about it. It's not a secret, but don't brag about it. Now, listen, it won't work for anyone else. It will only work for you, because it's a special gift from me to you. He said, oh, thank you, Papa. He said, you're welcome, my son. And the boy went outside, he told a friend, hey, listen, what do you want? What do you want? My daddy just gave me a magic horn. My daddy gave me a magic horn. What do you want? What do you want? And you know what he did? He gave all of his friends in the village everything they wanted. And then he gave the adults some real nice things, too.
I think one thing I want to share is that stories are very valuable, and I want to encourage families to share more of the stories with each other as well as with the young people, the kids in your family, the young adults in your family. A lot of young people state that their family don't share many stories with them, and I want them to do more of that. I tell them that stories are very valuable because stories teach us how to survive, how to think, how to laugh, how to appreciate ourselves, how to appreciate our culture, how to understand other people. And stories teach us a lot about life, social behavior, things that are disapproving, things that are approving, how to live, how to respect other people. In our stories, we learn about courage, and we have heroes and people that we admire. We learn about the consequences of greed, and we learn about honor and love. And so there are many valuable things to learn in our storytelling. And storytelling is something easy to do because it can be done every place. And I really want to encourage everyone to do more sharing and more listening. And you find that there's a connection there. There's a great rapport between the storyteller and the listener. When you're sharing stories, there's a bond that is being built there. And so as I go around the community and go through other states and go all over, I'll be looking for you. You'll be looking for me. You'll see me every place and say hi to me. And then I want you to listen to All About Kids, where you'll find more sharing and more things about storytelling and more things about the family that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, now let's try that. I want everybody to sing that together with me. What we're going to do, we'll sing the word hush 4 times, and we'll sing it 3 phrases, okay? Let's everybody nice and loud. Hush, hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, somebody's calling my name. Somebody's calling my name. What should I do? What should I do? What should I